Hello and welcome. You're watching The Social Network. Now, on the day that popular filmmaker Rituparno Ghosh passed away, we talk about the man as a filmmaker, as a friend, and of course as a trailblazer that he was in many, many ways and continues to stay on. So the topic of our show today is gender fluidity, androgyny, the realm of Rituparno Ghosh. But before we introduce our panelists for the day, let's quickly take a look at one of his many, many award-winning movies, Chokar Bali. All right, joining us on our show today, we've got with us from Kolkata, Jidhi Sarkar, who joins us from Kolkata. He is a filmmaker. In the studio, we've got with us Chinky Sinha. She's a writer on gender and sexuality issues for The Express and The Open magazine. And we've also got with us Vikramaditya, who's a research scholar and will also be joined in a few minutes by Riya Sen, of course, one of the members of the Sen family that has been so very close to the man himself. I want to start with you first, Mr. Sarkar. You know, of course, Rituparno Ghosh is most popularly known as, one of those legends really of Bengali cinema, and also, as many people on Twitter have said, he's not just a Bengali filmmaker, also an Indian filmmaker. Talk to us about what is so significant about his movies and his tenure as a filmmaker and an actor.
You see, before Rituparno Ghosh, there was Satyajit Ray. In fact, there are two pathbreakers or game changers in Bengal. The first one was Satyajit Ray in the 1950s and Rituparno in 1990s. Before Satyajit Ray appeared on the scene, Bengali cinema was going through a lull. I mean, you had great filmmakers, but it went through a lull. Satyajit Ray was one director who changed the entire scenario and brought Bengal or Bengali cinema onto the world stage. Rituparno Ghosh during the 90s brought Bangla cinema, changed the viewing habits of the Bengali film going public. They started coming back to the theatre once more, because before Rituparno came on the scene, the Bangla film industry was going through a bad period, very bad period. In fact, it was nearly dying. And Rituparno was the first director, in fact the only director, to change the course. He brought the audiences back.
In fact,
that is a very
Mr.
significant...
Sarkar, one of the pieces that I was reading by Dipanjana Pal says that he was a powerful storyteller with a sensitive understanding of the emotional tangles that mark human relationships. And he was always urging us to reconsider the stereotypes that we take for granted as normal.
Exactly. It is because of his sensitivity, it is because of his storytelling technique that the audience came back. I mean, obviously, he was a very sensitive filmmaker.
Okay,
that is the reason why he pulled the audience.
Right. In fact, we're going to talk about some of the themes of his films in just a bit as we mic up Riya really quickly to talk about some of the personal memories as well. Chinky, I just want to ask you, a lot of his themes in the recent years had looked at homosexuality, had looked at, he talked about being comfortable and wanting to live in the matrix of androgyny. Mm-hmm. And, Rituparno Ghosh is one of those few people who lived in that space, in this, in this third space, and made it okay and acceptable.
Yeah, since we're talking about Rituparno Ghosh, we might as well contextualize it and say that what was important for the third sex. So what we normally know, he celebrated the third gender. He would dress androgynously. He would wear kajal, he would wear kurtas, and he would just go about it in a very celebratory mood. But the thing is that we also need to talk about the loneliness of being in the third gender, because what we, in the social imagination, what we think is that you only have two gender identities, that's of a male and a female. And despite all the surgeries, you'll never be the complete woman or the man. So one needs to understand this whole third sex, and he mainstreamed it. But he had that poetic license. He had the license that art gives you. So he could just be himself, right, while celebrating. But he was lonely. I mean, that's
in fact, I'm going to talk to Vikram about it in just a bit, but I just want to welcome Riya on the the show. Ria, thank you so much for joining us. We want you to obviously start. We know that your entire family has been so very close to him. You worked with him in Nauka Dubi, and I just want you to share a personal memory with us on the show today.
Well, as you said, he's not just a director for all of us. He is, he's a family member for us, and he didn't have a family. He's known my sister, my mother, my father, me, my grandmother ever since we were really, really young. So it goes back a long way. And all of us are really upset today to hear about him. And so is my grandmom. And it's really sad because he's a family member to us, and none of us were able to really be in Cal today.
Yeah.
Because we're all in Bombay, and by the time we flew in there, it would have been too late.
Yeah.